Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video, unfortunately, I've got a massive crack and it really needs a good fill-in. So I'm going to be trying out today two things, one of which is JB's Plastic Weld and also the newer JB Clear Weld. Now both of these have very similar characteristics. So both of them have a strength of 3,900 psi, a set time of 5 minutes and a curing time of around about an hour. The only real differences is the Plastic Weld is really designed more for plastics. It can be used elsewhere, but it also does dry with a slight yellowy tinge. Now, I have used this previously in videos, so you can check that if you want to on other things. But actually on today's video, I've got some plastic storage containers, which actually are really expensive if you need to replace them. But as they age, they crack, etc. So I wanted to see if a relatively cheap or inexpensive fix could prolong the life of these plastic containers. So today you're going to be coming along for the ride with us to see how it goes. Now I have actually used Plastic Weld already on one of the three. I've actually got 3 of these containers in the garden and I've used it on one already, and it's actually done a very good job, but it does have that kind of yellowy weird tinge to it, whereas I'm ideally looking for a slightly clearer finish, and possibly you might be as well. So this is what we've got, the JB Clear Weld. Again, strength is basically the same, and this is suitable for use on basically most things, so tiles, plastics, ceramics, glass, wood, etc. And also it's got the resealable cap, so if you don't have to use it all, then you can store it. Although I will say, in my experience, that doesn't always work out particularly well. It does tend to go off, so if you're buying this with the intention of maybe keeping it in a drawer or something for later, then yeah, really this is kind of like a one-shot deal. I would prefer if this was in the separate tubes that you could mix yourself, but I suppose this does have the convenience of just undoing the cap, emptying the syringe, mixing it, and you're pretty much ready to go. And in fact, that is what they say. So in the instructions, it says about cleaning the area which you're going to be actually trying to fix. Also, you can use things like degreasers and other things. Isopropyl alcohol might also be useful. And also they do suggest that you actually rub down the surfaces as well. On more shiny or more kind of flat surfaces, having a slightly rougher edge might give this something more to adhere to. So if you get something like this. This is a P120 grit, wet and dry with sanding paper. I got this from a little sander I've got here at home, so I'm going to be using this just to give a slight key to the plastics to hope that they will actually survive and maybe last a couple of years to save me the expense of replacing them. So that is the introduction. You've probably seen what these plastic storage containers look like from the intro and a little bit of footage I filmed earlier. So let's get this thing set up and see how JB Clear Weld does. Okay, so there we go, the job as done, and as you've probably seen already, or you're seeing from some footage I filmed whilst doing it. So mixing the product, very easy to do, and actually using the built-in mixing tray was okay. Just be a little bit careful when you're pressing in the plunger, the syringe, because it has a little tendency to be a little bit resistant at first, and then it just gushes out, so you can quite easily overfill the actual mixing bowl, which I did, and it's kind of gone everywhere, which actually also gives us a good opportunity to see how clear it actually dries. Now this has been about 15-20 minutes later, and you'll see from close-ups it is pretty much crystal clear. So depending where you're actually planning to do your fixes, if it's on something which is clear anyway, so maybe some acrylics or something, you're trying to glue that, then you're going to be absolutely fine with that, and this isn't going to stand out like a sore thumb. Also, something to mention as well, when this is fully cured and dried, I would suggest leaving it a little bit longer than an hour, the curing time, maybe 24 hours, just overnight or something. Then you can quite happily sand this as well. So if you don't like the kind of bubblegum weld look, then you can sand it down to get a smoother finish. That is obviously an option. But overall, I'd say the differences between clear weld and also the plastic weld. Plastic weld for me seems like it's a slightly thicker consistency. So a little bit easier if you're trying to bridge some smaller gaps, that might be beneficial. Alternatively, if you're trying to actually get some of the clear weld in between some of the cracked surfaces, and maybe it's not easy to get to, or there's not enough pliability in the actual plastics you're using to get into those cracks, then you may find that the clear weld might be the better one, because it is a little bit thinner, so it is going to sink into some of those cracks a little bit better. Now obviously if you're doing this on something which is vertical and it cannot be put horizontal or in another position, then again you may find the plastic weld better because it is slightly less runny, so it isn't going to run or drip. Whereas with the clear weld, if it's a very, very vertical surface, and depending on the weather conditions, it's going to be, it has a tendency to run and sag a little bit. You can see from some of the footage I've taken there using it on our plastic bunkers stroke storage units, it's actually done a really good job, and I think it actually looks much nicer than the slightly kind of yellowy off clear that you get with the plastic weld. It's not a particularly nice look, whereas with the clear it kind of can blend in a little bit better. Again, it's down to the individual and where it's going to be. Also, if you want to with the clear weld, of course what you can do is you can use it and actually reinforce it as well. So maybe if there's a crack in the plastic and you want to use the clear weld and then put another piece of perspex or some other plastic actually onto it whilst it's setting, just to kind of hold it in place and give it that extra strength and rigidity, of course you can do. And because it's safe with pretty much all plastics, then you shouldn't find any issues there whatsoever. Overall though, I think it's done very well, and looking at doing the very early touch test, just flexing the plastics a little bit, they are flexing, but they're not coming apart, so we're not seeing one part flex and the other bit staying still and it cracking. So it does appear to have bridged that very nicely, and of course I did reinforce it on both sides, and I also left a little bit of extra product on both sides as well, just to give it that little bit of extra strength and rigidity. Now I will test this over time, and we'll see how it does through the colder months of the year, when plastics do get their most exposure and are more, well, basically likely to crack because of the extremes in temperature. So if you want to know how that goes, let me know in the comments section below. And if you've actually got any comments, or you've got any things you've actually used clear weld on and very good results, please do let us know in that comments section below. I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts. We've also tested other JB products as well on the channel. It's not sponsored or anything, just something I like to do, try and repair things where I can rather than have to replace them. I'll try and link those in the video description as well. There's a pretty good range of products if you are into DIY or just fixing things around the home. Anyway, I've rambled on for way too long. Hopefully this video has been useful to you. If it has, smash that like button. If you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, maybe consider hitting subscribe and the chime notification. That way you'll be notified of future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.